business processes. For example, in an organization, there is a particular way they do stuff, but we need to um, get those things automated. We don't want to do it in a paper way anymore. There's That is what Power Apps is used to do: build applications that can be used within an organization to automate business processes. I will not go over that again because we have actually done the introductory class. But today we are going to be building an application. But before we build the application, I'm going to walk us through the basic components of Power Apps. And I'll just permission to share my screen. I'll share my screen in a minute. Okay, please confirm that you can see my screen.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yes.
You can see it now.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So this is Power Apps. We get to this place going to make.powerapps.com. I'm going to retype it again so that we can see make.powerapps.com. I click enter to take me to that screen, and you get to see the home page where we have summaries of the applications you have, things that can help you to learn, and where you want to start building your application from. This is a tab for learning, a tab for applications. This is like a list of all the applications you have in that environment. We have also create. So when I want to create a new application, I can come here, and I can also come here, any one of the two. So I'm just going to click on new app, a Canvas app, because today we are dealing with Canvas app. And this is where you type the name of your application. For example, I'm just going to type textilers training. You have to choose the view you want. Do you want your application to be in a phone view? Do you want it to be in a tab view? That's like a laptop view. For us, we want this application to be in a phone view. So I'm going to click on create. And yes, so the first thing I'll be doing is walking us through the entire interface. This is the Power Apps Studio, and I'm going to walk us through everything, the elements of the studio, so that would be conversant with picking any of it. So the first thing we are going to do is, what's Power Apps Studio? So Power Apps Studio is like the interface where you build any of your applications, and this is it. The next thing we are going to talk about is the view. So it can either be a mobile or a web view. I've done that. I've showed you before, like just before we got to this screen. So when you're building an application, you choose the view you want it to be. Is it the web view? Is it the mobile view? Then, yes, we are going to go into this one after the other. So this first button here is the file button, and this is where you get to, like, if you noticed on Microsoft Word, we have that same file. You either can create a new app, open previous app, settings, save as, collections, and all. And if you want to save the application, for example, I've not saved this one. I'm going to save it now. Textilers training. When I click save, it means that my application is going to load for a while and the application will be saved. Yes. So the home screen, when you want to build the applications, you have different screens, and this is where you get to choose the number of screens you want to, or add new screens. We have different types of screens. We have the blank screen, scrollable screen. Scrollable screen is a screen that can be scrolled. We have form screen, list screen, success screen, tutorial screen, and all this. We might not be able to go into it one after the other. We have a screen called print screen, and your print screen can either be portrait or landscape. Might not be able to go into this in depth, but this is where we get to add new screens. So I'm just going to add a success screen so that we can see what it looks like. I've added it, and this is the success screen. So aside this, you can also choose the theme of your application. Do you want it to be this theme? Do you want it to be this? Do you want it to be coral? Any of this. You can choose any of, I think I like this, so I'm going to choose this. And this, I think this is better. If you notice, when I change the theme, the view of the application too has changed. The next thing we are going to look at here is the insert tab. We see that you can insert a label, you can insert a button. So when you say a label is just a text that you want somebody to read. So this is a label, and I can type textiles training. So this is it. I can increase the font to something bigger, make it bold. Bold. Increase it to 40. Okay. So yeah, this is it. That is what a label is, just to show or display a line of text. The next thing is a button. I'm going to insert a button. So all I need to do is just click on it. I've clicked on this button now, and yeah, this is a button. If you want to change what is displayed right now, what you can see on this button is button, but you can change it. So most times we use submit button, so we can change it to submit. Click enter, and that is it. The text has changed. We also have the text part where we have a label. I mentioned that before. Text input. So text input is used when you want a user to type something. For example, username and password. You actually type into it. That is when you use text input. For example, too, you have a table where you want them to search through, but you need them to type something to search through it. Yeah, so they have to type into this text input too. That's what a text input is used for. We have HTML text. So for those that write HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, yeah, you would have come across what HTML is. It is hypertext markup language. And sometimes you might want to write things with HTML. You can do this. All you need to do is just insert it. Just click on this. And once the HTML is added, you write your HTML code in it. I'm just going to delete it. The next thing under text is rich text editor. I don't know if you'll be able to see this clearly, but a rich text, let me change the background. Okay, it's showing now. This is what a rich text editor looks like. Remember, sometimes you write text and you might want to change it to, you want your user to be able to change the view of your text. You want your user to make it bold, underline. You want them to be able to align it left, center, or right. That is what we use rich text editor to do. The next thing is pen input. You want your users to be able to sign. This is when you use pen input. They can actually use this to sign. The next thing we have is input, and we have talked about just one of them, that's button. Okay, we have talked about text input and pen input too. We have drop downs too in Power Platform, in Power Apps, and this is what the drop down look like. I'm just going to do like a brief intro of all as time permits. So this is what drop down looks like, and when I click on it, I can see two other options aside the first option. You can also change the option, and this is where you do it. Items, I'll just write, I think this is, so my first option will be male. Sorry. Second will be female. So remember that sometimes you want your users to pick their gender, and you want it to be in a drop down. So I can pick either of these. And that's how Dropdown works. Aside Dropdown, we have what we call combo box, and it's a little bit different from Dropdown in the
Please,
sense
can I
that,
ask a question?
yes, please go ahead.
How did you change the options? How did you get to that place where you entered?
So
Yeah,
when you click
and
on,
are you the one that put the inverted commas or that drop down? The way you wrote the male, female.
okay, before now we had drop down sample. Hey, that's the default thing that comes when you click on drop down. So to change it, you have to first put a square bracket and double quote. So the first quote will have your option. That thing is in quotes because it is a string, it is a text. The second quote will have your option. You get now? So you have to literally type this yourself.
Okay. Is there a guide that tells us that we have to type it in this square bracket with the inverted commas? Because if you didn't do this, I wouldn't have realized
Okay,
that.
so you wouldn't like know everything now. We have documentations for each of these, and for every object, that's for everything you use, text, label, even the label I showed before. If you notice, there was double quotes in it before I typed the text. So as time comes, there are documentations for this, and as you learn, you get to know each of these.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So that's how a drop down is written. Sorry, the options of the drop down is written. Um, yeah. So the next thing is combo box, and I'm just going to show you. So the difference between a combo box and a drop down is, for a combo box you can search. For drop downs you can't search. Let me delete this so that the page doesn't look clumsy. For drop down you can't search. I'm going to play it for us now. This is a drop down, you can only pick. So we can have an item that is full of so many options, and the user doesn't just, or you wouldn't want your user to be scrolling. What you have to use is a combo box in that case. And the difference between a combo box and a drop down is that you can set. So I'm just going to copy this and paste this in the items property. So we have the same thing actually, but on this one you can. So I'm going to search for female. Is somebody talking? Please. Okay, so I'll just continue. Like I said, you can search with a combo box, but you can't search with a drop down. I don't know if that is clearly taken. And another thing we are going to look at in the input is a date picker. Sometimes you need, okay, for example, I want to apply for leave and I need to pick my start date. That's the day I'll be going on leave. I need to pick my resumption date, the day I'll be resuming back. The only way users can do that is using a date picker. This is what a date picker looks like. And sorry, I'm going to hide this. And when you click on it, you can pick any date you want to. So that's that about date picker. The next input we are going to look at is the list box, and this is what it looks like. Let me just play it for us to see. This is not like a drop down, this is just a list of items. And yeah, that's that about that. The next thing we're looking at is checkbox, radio button, and toggle. We might not be able to go through all this, but radio button, I'm sure we know what it looks like. I'm just going to drag this down so that we can see. I'll delete this, it will not be too clumsy for us. And this is what a radio button looks like. So you want your user to select one of the options. This is the kind of scenarios you use radio button for. There's also timer, there's toggle, and there's checkbox. I'm going to do that. I'm going to add that to the screen so that we can see how it works. And this is a timer. So I'll play the app for us to see. This is a toggle right or a toggle left, just like a switch. You turn it on or you turn it off. And this is a timer. What a timer? A very good scenario where we use timers are, for example, I have a screen that I want it to fade at 2 seconds. So when a user gets here, it's just like probably a slider or a splash screen. I want it to fade at 2 seconds. All I need to do is set it on this timer and say when this duration now is 60 minutes. So I can say, sorry, 6 minutes. I can say at 3 seconds, that is when the timer should run. I would also say that, okay, when this timer ends, so go to a specific screen. We'll get to all that, but it might not be today. Then another thing we are going to, okay, we might not be able to go through all this, but another thing we are going to look at today is forms. So a form, we'll use it when we get to, okay, let's just look at it now. So a form is usual forms that we see, Microsoft form, Google form. You can embed it, you can add forms to your application, but a form needs to accept input from users. So you need your users to probably fill a form, their name, date of birth, state of origin, and all that. You can use a form. So you just add a form to your screen and connect. So a form has to be connected to a database. When I say connected to a database, what do I mean? All the information that you want your users to submit has to be submitted somewhere so that you can easily fall back to it. And that's where we create databases for it. So a database is just a table where we store information, and your form has to be connected to that table so that they can easily retrieve those information later on. So that's all that form does. We have charts too. We have a line chart, pie chart, column chart too in PowerApps. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. We might not really get a good view, but this is what one of the charts looks like. I'm going to delete this so that the screen will not be clumsy. Sorry. So this is a type of chart. I'm going to add another type, that's pie chart. And yeah, this is what pie chart looks like. Very, very easy to use. All you have to do is change the controls as the case may be. So yeah, that's that about that. We have media, so we can add images to your applications. You can add a camera feature so that when the user gets to that screen, he takes a picture of himself. You can add barcode scanner, you can add videos, audios, you can even add a microphone input where your user will be able to speak to the mic. You can add a add picture function. What this does is when a user click on it, the user will be able to add a picture from their gallery. So that is that about that. And we have icons, beautiful icons and shapes in PowerApps. All these are the icons that we have. So most times we use this to design our applications. We add icons to tell more or pictorial images about what we actually want users to see. Is somebody saying something?
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just joining. I'm actually late.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, please, do you have a question?
Actually, I didn't understand your last explanation.
Which one, please?
Hello?
Yeah, I said which of the explanation?
Sorry, I just joined. I guess I'm late, so
Okay, so this
hello?
class is recorded. Yeah, I can hear you. This class is
Yes.
recorded. You can always fall back to the recording.
It's okay, ma'am.
It will be uploaded on YouTube. But what I was just going through is
Please.
the basic elements of the PowerApps, basic controls, and examples of what we can use them to do.
Okay.
So I don't know if anyone has any question before we move ahead.
Yes, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
I've been trying to log in to access the PowerApps platform, but it's telling me that I cannot use my personal email.
Please, you are kind of not audible. Can you be close to your mic?
Yeah, can you get me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I said I've been trying to log into the PowerApp platform, but keep telling me that I cannot use my personal email.
Oh, okay. So, Power Apps or the Microsoft Power Platform can be used in an organization. So, emails that are accepted are only organization emails. But some of us might not have those kind of emails. And what we do is create a developer account. So we have like a free account, a free tenant. So Microsoft is like the landlord. You can create a tenant. That's what happens. If an organization is created, the organization will create a tenant with Microsoft. So in this case, we have developers tenants that can be created, and these developers tenants are actually free. I'll drop the link after this class so that you can create it.
All right.
Okay. So everyone would have to create a developer's tenant where you are just like creating your own organization, but the free version. So that's where you are going to build your applications. I don't know if anyone still has another question. Okay, I see there's no question. We're going to proceed. So today we have to create an application, and the application we are going to create is an application that would say an attendance application. So let's assume we have a school and everyone is in a class, but we need to know those that are in that class at that particular moment. We're going to create an application so that everyone in the class at that time can just type in their email and click on a button. So that button would submit their email to the lecturer's list. I don't know if you understand this scenario we want to build a solution for. Please, I need response. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, that
All
makes
right,
sense.
I'll go over it again. A class is going on. For example, we have a textiles class now, and I need to know those that are in this class. I build an application for it. But all that we don't want the users to be typing so many things. All that we want the user to do is input their email and click on the submit button, and that's all. So we're going to build that application now. And the first thing, like I said, we're going to just use this view since we started it. I'm going to add I'm going to delete all these things that are here so that we can. So this label, I'll just type textiles training attendance, and I will use this font so that I would align center. Remember, I said I want to make users type in their email address. Remember, we said text input is used when we want users to be able to type something. So I'm going to add text input. And there will be no defaults. Clear it off. Int text is an int so that they'll know what they are supposed to type. So I'm just going to type email address. We want them to be able to input text, not numbers. The next thing is a submit button, because that's what I want. I just want they should type their email address and submit. So on our submit button, we'll type submit. Yes, and that's all. But we just started building the application. Everything that the user types or the student types has to be submitted somewhere. And in this scenario, we are going to use a SharePoint list. You can use Excel, you can use SharePoint, you can use any other database. But in this class, we are going to use a SharePoint database. And all I have to do is click here. Open SharePoint. Let's click on this side. And I'm going to create my database. So SharePoint database is called a list. And I'm going to use this list. So we have to give a database, our database, a name. Create a blank list. And the name would be textilers training attendance. Great. So we are good to go. This is our list. But the next step is you need to create a column where those information will be submitted to. Our list is like a table, and we know tables have rows and columns. So we need to create a column where the information will be submitted to. In this case, our information is that email address we want them to submit. So I'm just going to, before we go so deep, we have several types of columns. In this case, we are going to use a single line of text. A single line of text column is a column where text will be submitted to, but this text will not be so much. They have to be a single line. Multi-lines are best used when we have a column called description. Location is when you want to get the longitude and latitude of a user. Number, when you need a number input from user. Yes or no, when you need a user to either type yes, to either pick yes or a no. Date and time, when you need a user to pick the date and time that something is happening. Choice, options, different options. Hyperlink, a link where it can be clicked on and to be taken to another page. Currency, we understand currency. Image, where you want pictures to be submitted to. This person's field is actually very unique because a person's column is a column where persons can be selected. When I say persons, people in an organization. We might not be able to demo this right now because this solution we are trying to build doesn't cover that. Today we are going to pick a single line because we want them to submit their email address. We cannot use number for email address because we need text there. So I'm just going to type student email as the name of the column and I'll click save. Right now, or when you create a new list, there's a title column that comes by default, but we need to, I think someone, okay, sorry, I need, okay, the person has been updated. So there's a title column that comes by default with a list, and it is always compulsory. In this case, we don't need the title column, so I'm going to go to list settings and not make it required so that we can proceed. I'm going to click on title, and yes, it is not going to be required. The next thing is to save.
Sorry, how did you get to this page? You said this is list setting.
Yes, this is the list. There's this settings icon, that's the J icon at the top. I click on it and we have add a page, add an app, site content and list settings. I'm going to click on list settings. And this is the specific column I want to edit. I'll click on it. So this is where it is. I'm going to go back now so that we can go back to our list. So we are good to go. We'll just have to come to the application. The next step is to connect our data source to the application, and that is actually very easy. I'm sure you can see a funnel icon right by the left hand side. So I'm going to add data, and because we can add different types of data source, but in this case we are using SharePoint, so I'm going to search for SharePoint. And I'm not picking SharePoint site, I'm picking SharePoint. Please let's take note of that. I'm not picking SharePoint site, I'm picking SharePoint. I'll click SharePoint, click on this, and a modal is going to open. We wait for it to load so that we can pick the specific site. Remember, I created that listing for 2 sites, and yes, this is the list. So I'll click connect. Yes, we are good to go. The next step is to say,
Please, can you go over this step again? Yeah, a bit fast.
okay, I'll go over it again. To add the data source, right?
Yes.
I'll remove it
From that funnel. huh?
Sorry,
From that
and
funnel.
please, exactly, and please be telling us what you are clicking.
You said?
And please be telling us what you are clicking. You're fast, so I really don't know what you click.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, so I said that I have to add the data source so that everything somebody has typed will be submitted to that data source. I don't know if you can see the left hand side of the page, and you can see the funnel icon here that shows data. Please, I need responses so that I know that people are following.
Did you call it funnel? Funnel.
It's,
Or cylinder.
sorry, cylinder.
Okay.
So I'll click on it, and it will tell me to add data. I'll click on add data, and remember I said that our data was a SharePoint list. So I'm going to search for SharePoint. Please take note, I'm not using SharePoint site, I'm using SharePoint. So after that, I need to click on this, and this modal will pop up. So I don't know if you can recall, but I created that list in Tech Deep Dive Cohort 3 site. So I'm just going to pick Cohort 3, and you see the drop downs of options of lists that you have in that site. This was the list you created. I click connect. So that is that about adding our data source to the application. Remember that I said we have to make users submit to that data source. On a norms, if I don't want them to submit to the data source, this would have been perfect for me. I'll just allow them to type whatever they want to type. But in this case, I want it to be submitted to that data source. And this is where forms come in. I'm just going to add a form to this screen. I'm sure we saw where I added the form. Did we, so that I can go back to it again? I need responses, please.
From the top, beside the input,
Yes,
right?
we saw it.
Input
Yes.
forms, media, transfer.
Thank you. So this is the form, but your form has to be connected to your data source. Your form has to be connected to your data source so that everything that is typed into that form would be submitted to the data source. So I'm going to click data source and click this, because that's the data source that we have. Remember that I didn't have to do anything. Sorry, I didn't have to do anything. So the form we added, we have like different functions or controls for a form. We'll not be able to go through all that, but the first is the data source. You select the data source you want your form to be connected to. We have done that. The next is the fields. Fields are like this, the columns that you want to show. In this case, I don't want to show the title column, so I'm going to delete it. I also don't want to show the attachment because I don't want them to upload anything. All I want is that they should type their email and submit. So I'm going to remove this too. And that is that. This snap to columns is used when you have multiple columns, so you cannot see the effect now. The next thing is, we have for columns, you can have multiple columns, like when we had title and attachment. So when you pick two, it means that you will have two of them in a you have two columns in a row. You cannot see it here because we have more than one. Let me add the title field back so that we can see. To add a new field, all you have to do is just click on add field and add. So we have two now. This is what it means when you click on two columns. They will stay side by side. We have two on a row, but now we don't need that. So we're going to click one and remove the title columns. You can decide on your layout. So what this means is we have vertical or horizontal. What this means is this student email can either be on the box or beside the box. So this is when it is vertical and this is when it is horizontal. Can we see? Did we note the difference? We are going to stick with horizontal. Then the next is the default mode of your form. The default mode of your form means, okay, when this form opens, what should happen? Should it be an edit form, a new form, or a view form? An edit form, rather, is a form where users have already submitted something, they just need to edit it. A new form is a fresh form, they've not submitted anything. A view form is a form where they cannot click on anything. All they have to do is just to see what has been submitted. In this case, we want a new form because we want them to submit their emails. So I've already clicked a new form. This visible property means should this form be visible or not? Should this form be visible or not? So when I turn it off, the form will no longer show. We use this in some scenarios when you actually want to have something on the screen but you don't want to show it. But in this case, I want my form to be seen, so I'm going to click on. We can change the color of the form. We can also change the border. We don't actually need this right now. So that is that about that. I'm going to play it for us to see. So this is student email. They'll type any email that they wish to type. The next thing is now for them to click submit. I'm going to bring this button up so that it will be visible to see. The next thing is to click submit. And our submit button is supposed to submit this form. In PowerApps, we can say yes, PowerApps is a low-code, no-code platform, but we actually write some codes. Now we're going to write a code, and that code is going to be very simple. It's going to help us to submit this form. So on the submit button, every button has properties, and we have all this. So you can align the button either to align it left, align it right. You can auto disable the button. So when I click on the button, because on select means when I click on it, when I select it, when I click on the button, should I disable it? If you check, you see when I've clicked on it, it should be disabled. That is why it is true. We have border color. You can decide the border color of your button. This color is actually a transparent color. You can decide border style if you want your border to be solid. There are other options of border styles. You can decide your border thickness. This is currently 2. You can decide the color of your button. In this case, so in PowerApps, we have color and we have fill. Color is most times the color of the text on that button, while fill is the background. So in this case, our color is this color. I can change it, and I can also change it here. So let's say I come here to change color, and I pick color red. notice the color that is changing is the color of the text. Let me zoom this in so that we can see clearly. The color that is changing is the color of the text of the button. So most times color means color of a text, while we have what we call fill. These are other things that we can have. Then we have fill. Fill is the background. I'm going to click on fill here to change so that we can see. We'll change it back later, but let's change it to green. Fill is the background. Have you noticed that it's the background that is changing, not the button, not the color of the text? So when we use fill, it means background. And on the unselect of this button, that is when a user, we can also change the font type, and all these minor properties. But we are looking for unselect because we want to say when this button is clicked to submit that form, all I have to type, are we with me? All I have to type is submit form. The next thing is the name of the form. If you notice, this is our form. Our form name here is form 1. We can change the name. All you do is click on rename. So I want to change the name so that we will not be confused. So if you have so many forms in your application, you cannot be saying form 1, form 100. What you have to do is put a name to the form. So I'm going to make this one attendance form. And on the submit, I'm going to say edit to submit form, attendance form. I click on the close button. So this is like all you have to do. So when a user types something here and clicks on submit, it will submit to the form. But I also want to add a feature so that when I submit let's first do it. Let me type an email here. Let me say I'm typing victoria@textilers.com. Let's assume this email address is present. So when I click on submit, how will the user know that this thing has been submitted? If you remember, most of our applications usually have what we call a success screen, and we already have a success screen in this application. Just to notify your user that this was successfully submitted, what I have to do is say after this button has been clicked and the form has been submitted. So our form has what we call on success. Our form too has different attributes. We can add border style, border color, and all this. But we have what we call on success. So on success means if this form successfully submit to go to, so what should happen? In this case, we want when this form successfully submit, go to a specific screen. And what we are going to say that all you have to do is to write the function navigate. Some of us might be wondering at this case that, oh, how do I get to learn all these functions? You might not know all of them at the beginning. Till now, there are some functions I don't know. But as long as you know what you want to do, we have documentations that would tell you how to do that. And we have Google, we have the internet to search. So because I know that I want to go to another screen, the function to go to another screen is navigate. So all you have to do is search for navigate or type navigate here. So I'm just going to type navigate. This bracket automatically is added. Where do you want to navigate to? I want to navigate to this screen that has success screen. Success screen in this case has a name called screen 2. So I'm just going to pick screen 2 and I'll close the brackets. What this will do is when the user has finished typing whatever he has to type and he clicks on the submit button, once that is successfully submitted, go to that other screen. Another function I like to add on a form is on the on success is this. Sorry, on the on submit. So when this button is clicked and that form is submitted, we need to tell our application to open a new form. So, and the best way to do that is to type new form, the name of the form, attendance form. You might not know the reason for this, but I'm going to show you now. That time, you know that we have submitted something, and when we submitted that first entry, this is what showed. This is not what it's supposed to show. After a user has submitted, other people might want to submit. Even after the success screen has been displayed, other people might want to submit. So you have to clear what has been submitted, and that is where we add the new form. So I'm going to save my application and refresh it so that we'll see what has been done.
Answer, hope.
Sorry, please, when you raise your hand, I would advise that you talk, because I cannot see. I'm not on that screen where I'll see that your hand is raised.
Please, I can't see your screen sometimes.
Oh, I think it might be network, or does this apply to other people?
No, I can see.
Okay, so sometimes it's network.
Okay.
So this is what our application looks like now. We have saved. I'm just going to play the application and type another email address, or let's say I'll type my email address again. Victoria@techstylers.com. In this case, when I click on submit, you notice that it's navigated me to this screen. Now, how are we sure that all these things I've typed, the first and second entry, has been submitted to our database? I'll just open this tab where I have my database, and yes, we can see we have the 2 entries I submitted, and yes, our application has worked. This is just an example of what we can do, or applications we can do in using the Microsoft Power Apps. We have other functions that. Does somebody want to say something? You're actually far from your mic. Hello. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead.
Can you hear me, please?
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, now my question is, this part where it is showing this was successfully completed, this success form, is it that there are templates for this kind of form also?
Okay, I'm not sure you started at the beginning. This screen was added. I'm not sure you joined the class from the beginning.
I joined from the beginning.
Okay, so when we were talking about
The reason why I'm asking is, there's some app that when you've successfully done your work, it will show maybe here you go, thank you, and the
it
like.
depends on. Okay, so on the success screen, we have labels. You can actually edit what is here.
Okay.
This is just a template. Do you get?
I get now.
All right.
Okay, so you're saying that there are other options. It must not be this was successfully completed, right?
So we have just one type of success screen, but you can edit the text, the content that is there. You can redesign it to suit
by
what you want.
yourself. You can fill in whatever you want it to say. Not that there are options, not that there's a drop down also of what to pick.
Yes,
you can fill what you want.
You can edit what is here. I can say your attendance has been submitted. If you notice, it has changed. It's whatever I type here that would show.
I have a question. So I noticed that when you are making some of the entries, you were typing the words together, no space. How do you know where to do that?
Which,
For instance, on this, where was that now? Towards the
I
end, when
think
you were making some inputs, you type the words together, no
this
space in
one.
between the attendance form ahead. So there's no space between the
Okay.
attendance and the form and all that. But
Okay,
this
so
other portion that you just finished, there were spaces between the words. How do you know when to do this?
all right. So for text, that's for labels that you want to show. You can manipulate it how you want to be. But for functions, if you remember, I wasn't the one that fully typed submit form. This is a function. I wasn't the one that fully typed it. I just started the typing, and PowerApps IntelliSense completed it for me. So I have to pick it from this drop down. And if you see, there's no space in this one. So most functions, once there are two words, don't have space. They are written in camel casing. But for attendance form, it was the name I wrote here. You can actually have space between the attendance and form. But most times on my objects, once I'm renaming them, I don't have space. Because if you notice, this button 2, I did rename it and it does not have space. Label 1 too does not have space. So I follow PowerApps model. Once something does not have space, I don't have space to it. Then for your colons in your database, it's advisable you don't have space. In fact, that's the best way. Don't have space in between column names. If you add space, it won't show you error, but it is advisable you don't have space. I don't know if you understand me.
Yes, thank you. I thought it will probably give you error if you don't.
You know,
So I just
won't.
wanted to understand why, because I noticed that.
Okay, so
Thank you.
this, for the function part, if you add space, it will give you error because a function is not written that way. But for naming conventions like this, if you add space in the name of the object, it won't give you error. For your database too, if you add space, it won't give you error. But most times, or we advise that you don't add spaces.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have any other questions?
Yes, okay.
Okay,
I joined
hi.
sorry. Okay. Sorry,
Okay,
I joined
right.
late actually. And what's the first thing you do before you submit form? How do you create the screen again? Could you just go back a bit?
Okay. Firstly, this class is
Sorry about that.
recorded, so you can always fall back. But
Okay.
the first thing you do is create an application. And when you create the application, to add a screen, you just click here. I don't know if you can see my mouse.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so you click on new screen and you select the type of screen you want. But the first thing you need to do is create the app. This class is recorded, so you can always go back to YouTube to watch that step.
Okay. All right then. Thanks.
Does anyone have any question?
Okay, so my question is, so I kind of joined late as well, but I actually grabbed what has been going on. But I want to find out, is there a documentation that shows all the functions in Power Apps so that people can have a good grasp of the functions in
Yes,
Power Apps?
absolutely.
Okay,
So the
we'll be
plan
glad.
is at the end of this
Yeah.
class, I'm going to
Okay.
share the link to the documentation
All right.
so that we
Thank
can
you.
always
So,
go through it.
okay. Okay, so my second question is, so looking at this form right now, it kind of looks bland to me. So aside the buttons, the form, this, so is there a way you can go as far as customizing Power Apps forms with images, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't mind me, I'm not a
Okay.
very good design person. And I don't know
Oh,
if
okay.
I have images on my phone, on my laptop rather, that we can add. But we talked about
Oh,
the image tag. And all I need to do is
okay.
just insert. There's media here. I insert an image. Let me just do that.
All right.
So I have to come here Can you see this media tab by the left hand side? I'll click on it. I have to upload the image from my laptop to the application. So let me just add this. I've added the image to the application, and this is our image tag. I'm just going to close this back. So on the image tag, come down and click on. So this will show the drop down of the image that you have on the application. So I'm going to pick on this one. Have you seen I've added an image? So I'm just going to play the app for you to see. I can increase it too. So you can customize. I just wanted us to have a grasp of the basic things that we can do. Do you get me?
Can you go through this last step again on how you added the image, if you don't mind, please?
So I'll go over it again. The first thing you need to do is add the image. Any image you want to use in your application, you have to add it to that app. And you have to add it here. So this is media, the one by the left hand side. You click on it and click upload. You will upload the image from your laptop, anywhere it is on your laptop, and you click open. So it will upload it. But to add it on a specific screen, you click on this media here. You can click on that image. Let's do this. I can click on the image I've added already. It will show again.
Please, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
I can't see what you are doing. I hope if I go back to YouTube to watch the video, I'll be able to see what you are doing from the beginning.
Yes, you will.
Okay,
so the video will be uploaded on YouTube.
So I will see everything like from the beginning.
Yes, you will.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So I said that after you have added the image to the application, you have uploaded it. Clicking on this on the image here can make it appear on the screen. You can also make it appear on the screen by adding a media tag here. So when I add a media object here, I just added a media. So the image that will show is the sample image. I need to come to the right hand side to pick the specific image I want to show. So it's a two-way thing. I don't know if you understand me now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone still have any other question?
I think my last
Yes.
question.
I think
Yeah, sorry, I have a question.
Please go ahead, I'm listening. Sorry,
Okay,
I can't know who
please.
is talking because I can't go to that tab.
Okay, my name is Joy. Please, is there a way you can change the color of your mouse? Because at times when you move to some places, I can't. I
You
don't
can't
see
see.
very
Oh,
well.
sorry. You
No
might have
problem.
to zoom in on your device.
No, I've zoomed the screen. I've turned it to full screen. But what I'm saying is, if you can change the color
We
of your
don't see your mouse properly. That's what she's saying. That's what I
that's what
complained
I'm trying
about
to say.
before.
Okay, you
So
know what?
when
I'm
you are
going to.
clicking on
There's no way.
something, you can just tell us that okay, I'm
Yes,
clicking
yes.
on this. I'm on the
use
right
my
side
mouth
or
to
on the
explain.
left side.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you, ma.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Yeah, so I was going to ask, the platform that you're building the app with, do we have free access to that, or it has to be paid?
So you have to create your own account, your own tenant, and it is free. I'm going to share you the link to how to do that after this class.
Maybe can you just drop it at the chat so that
I can't do it now because I have to open a new tab and all. So after the class, I'll do it. Not like after I've stopped teaching, I'll do it. Do you get?
It's all right.
All right. So the next thing we're supposed to talk about is functions. And what a function is just telling your application what to do, telling your object what to do. Remember, we told our button when this person clicks it to submit it to. So that's what a function is in Power Apps. At the beginning, you might not know all the functions we have, but as time goes on, when you decide on, oh, this is what I want my users to be able to do, check the documentation online, you'll be able to get the specific function for that. We have different kinds of functions. We'll not be able to go into all that today. And yes, after building your application, you have to save it. After saving it, remember that Power Apps are applications that we can build so that people in the organization can see and use. Just for example, this attendance solution that we have created, what if now that I've created it, nobody can use this application, it's just me? I have to share it with people before they can use it. So I'll click on this file here at the top of my screen. I don't know if you can see it now, just beside back. I'll click on file and click on save. So after saving the application, the next thing that will come up is publish. I have to publish the application so that everyone can see. Subsequently, when I make changes to my app, for example, I want to add a new feature, I do that. Others won't see those features until I publish the application. So I'm going to click on publish right now. Publish this version. And yes, the next thing is to share the application. Remember, I said no one can see this application right now because I created it. Before anyone can be able to use it or even edit it, I have to share it with them. So I'm going to click on the share button. It's going to open a new tab. The sweet thing about the Microsoft Power Platform is because it is an application that can be used in an organization. This particular organization where I created the app, I can search for people there and I'll share the application with them. They'll be able to, they'll be able to use it. So I'm going to search for Amara. And you can see Amara has an account with Textilers. So I'm going to click on her name. Now, this is to toggle, okay, do I want to send an invitation to Amara so that she can get a mail that says Victoria has shared an application with you? This, if I toggle this, means that Amara is a co-owner of my application. It means that she can edit the application. But if I click on it. But if I turn it off, she's just a user. She cannot edit my application. In this case, I don't want her to edit the application. I only want her to be a user. So I'm not going to click on this. And the next thing is to share. Sometimes you might not want to share it to a specific person. You might want to share it to everybody in the organization. So if I'll just have to type everyone. So once I type everyone, you see everyone in Textilers. Once I click on this, so everyone in the organization Textilers will get a notification that says Victoria has shared an application with you. I actually don't want this. I only want to share it with Amara. I just wanted to show us that. So I'm going to click on this and it's Amara that will show. I don't want her to be a co-owner. I only want her to be a user. I'll click on share and that's that. Once it's downloading, Amara will get a notification that says Victoria has shared an app with you, and that's all. So with this, we have come to the end of today's class. I just want to know if you have any question or questions. I'm going to be dropping the link to creating our own dev account now.
Victoria, sorry, could you go through what you just did now? The last steps, please.
Okay, so I'm going to reshare my screen.
Okay.
Like I said, sometimes or after building an application, you need to share it with people so that they can be able to use it. The first step to do is to save your application. After doing that, you have to publish the application. So you click on, after publishing the application, you have to share. I'll click on share. It will open a new tab. I have to search for the person's name, enter a name, email address, or everyone. So the name of the person I want to share the application with, I want to share it with Amara. Amara is going to show here, but because I've already shared it with her, she can't show. I can also share it with everyone that is inside the organization. That is, everyone is textile. So I'll click on it and it will share it with everyone in the organization. After that, I'll click on this share button and that's done. Everyone will get an email that says Victoria has shared an application with you. Click on a particular link to open the application. That's it.
Now you're sharing this app within your organization, but is it possible for you to share the app on Play Store and iOS Store?
No. So PowerApps, as always been said, is an application that can be used only within an organization. Power applications cannot be uploaded on Microsoft, cannot be uploaded on Apple Store or Play Store. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yeah, okay. Meaning you can't use them on mobile without logging on to
you can use them on mobile. And the way you can use them on mobile is you have to download, there's something we call PowerApps app. So there's an application called PowerApps on Play Store. You download it on your app, you sign in to the organization. You sign in with that organization email. You see the list of applications you have access to. This is different from saying this application, Textilers Training, you can't see it on Play Store. You have to first download PowerApps to your mobile phone, sign in with the organization email, and then you see the list of applications that you have access to.
Okay, so for what you did today now, you used Canvas app and SharePoint, right?
Yes. So Canvas app is, so in PowerApps you have two types of app, Canvas app and model driven applications. We use Canvas app today, and our database, that's where our information will be stored, was SharePoint.
Okay. So I noticed that
so I'm
on
currently
Microsoft,
looking for the link.
I noticed that on
ahead.
Microsoft there is also like a Power Platform that comprises both the Power App and listen. Can you tell us more about the Power Platform?
Okay, so we had that introductory class last week, and I'm just going to go over it again. So Power Platform comprises of basically 4 components. We have Power Apps. We use that one to build application. We have Power Automate. We use that to handle automating repetitive processes. For example, sending of emails, sending of approval requests. We use Power Automate to handle that. We have Power Virtual Agent. Power Virtual Agent is used for building chatbots. Chatbots that, I'm sure you know chatbots are what we, like an assistant that it is embedded to a website. So we have chatbots, and we have Power BI. Power BI is the business intelligence analytics tool. So that's like the 4 components we have. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Victoria.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I have a question, and let's say if you want to build an app now and you don't use Power Apps, like the app you want to build doesn't have anything to do with Power Apps. How do you go about it?
Okay, so we have different programming languages that we use to build applications, but this class right now deals with only Power Apps.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I don't know if anyone still has any question.
So
everyone
yeah.
of us,
Please, I have a question. So the thing is, there is a particular, like you said, apart from Power App, there's some other apps that we can use that we can be uploaded to Play Store. But when it comes to Power Apps, it's just strictly for an organization, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
So for the other person that asked the question about those kind of applications, so you can use things that they use to build all these native app that you put on Play Store. So you have like React Native, like Flutter, there is Kotlin. So all of these things you need to go and learn about those ones separately. I think it's not like Power App, whereby Power App makes it easier for you to just do things. So those ones you have to learn to learn their language and then write the code itself.
Okay,
Yeah, so
thank
just
you very
to add,
much.
applications are not just restricted to mobile apps. We have web apps too. So you have so many languages, programming languages you can learn to actually build those applications. I'm sure every one of us is on Textiler Squad 3 WhatsApp group, right?
Yes,
Victoria,
yes.
please, I'm not on WhatsApp.
No,
Okay.
we are not.
But you registered for Discord, right?
Yes, where is the link to the WhatsApp group then?
I don't have the link to the WhatsApp. I was just wondering because I'm sure a mail was sent with the
I will
link
check.
to the
Let me
WhatsApp.
check my mail.
Yes, it's on the email.
Okay,
Not
so I
email, okay, I'll
asked
check.
because of the link to the documentation, link to today's assignment, and link to creating the developer's account. I'm going to share it on these Teams, and I'm also going to share it on WhatsApp so that it will be easy
Alright.
for us.
All right, thank you.
Okay, sorry, Victoria. What about those that are not on WhatsApp?
You have access to these Teams.
Yes.
Yeah, so you get it.
Okay, thank you.
So are there any more
Those of
questions?
us on WhatsApp, when can we be expecting the link and the assignment?
As soon as possible. I think we are done. So we're going to end the recording. And thank you for joining today's class. We meet